Caitlin Clark's the new it. If you don't have a long ball, talking about the 26, 30 feet, if you ain't doing the Steph Curry, you ain't got none of that long ball in your game, yeah, you're going to be behind.
She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. There's a lot of girls in WNBA that have done it in spurts, but that game I'm watching y'all in the Final Four, I'm like, damn, and I was a hater because, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot, and bam, like, damn.
Okay, so if you follow basketball at all, you know Caitlin Clark is just a total supernova. She's completely changing how we even see the women's game, right? I mean, NBA legends, guys who literally invented how we play this sport, they're all just stunned by her talent. And get this, the WNBA is buzzing like never before, all thanks to Caitlin's game and her huge popularity. But here's the kicker, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, he finally spoke up. MJ's comments about Caitlin are a complete game changer, and his praise, man, that says everything. Stay tuned, because what Jordan had to say is truly something special. Plus, NBA legend Rick Barry, he really went all in defending Caitlin. Barry made it super clear, all this constant hate Caitlin's been getting from some WNBA players, it's just plain jealousy. And honestly, it's fear of her undeniable talent. His words really hit home, putting those critics exactly where they belong. What Barry had to say is something every single Caitlin Clark doubter needs to hear, because it just proves why she's earned all the respect she's getting.
I think it's reprehensible what they're allowing some of these players. Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that.
And George Gervin, another WNBA great, he also stepped up for Caitlin Clark. His words were just as powerful too. Gervin didn't hold back at all. He called out the disrespect directly, making it obvious that Caitlin's talent is something we should be celebrating, not tearing down. What's more, his statement really grabbed everyone's attention. It sent a clear message to anyone who still doubts Caitlin. Her greatness? It's here to stay, and even these legends totally see it. So get ready to hear Gervin's incredibly powerful defense. He just gets it. They don't even realize the value she's bringing for everyone in the league.
She bringing, they flying private planes now. They went flying private before she came. They on major networks now. They weren't doing that. See, she remind me of Tiger Woods for golf.
Now, sometimes the guys who aren't constantly in the media spotlight, they're the ones most likely to give us their totally uncensored opinions. And that's exactly why we're starting with a former player who isn't always on TV since retiring. We're talking about Jeff Teague. He was a really solid starter for most of his 12 seasons in the NBA. He even made an all-star team once and won a championship ring. But look, he was never a huge media darling or a super marketable player. Now that he's retired, Teague felt totally free to criticize the WNBA for how they treated Caitlin Clark when she first came into the league, especially since she arrived with such a massive fan base. He basically said, "They played this all wrong, bro. Terribly. They were supposed
to gas this shit. This is why people don't watch this shit when y'all leave college. Women's sports, because y'all hating on the best thing that's gonna happen to."
So, he's talking about what should have happened with the W. And while you might say his delivery is a little raw, his main idea, it's really reasonable. Think about it. After years of heated debates about the gender pay gap in sports, and so many tries to boost the WNBA's visibility that just didn't work, Caitlin's arrival finally got things moving on those fronts. But she still had a really rough welcome. Teague just points out that this kind of attitude is actually hurting the league financially. Plus, he's making it super clear that he thinks Caitlin deserves way better treatment from her teammates and the league's management. Speaking of that kind of rough treatment, Celtics legend Paul Pierce, he deserves some blame for all that early animosity we saw in the media towards Clark this season. The 10-time All-Star publicly doubted Caitlin Clark right from the start, and he even caused some controversy with comments about the Fever's amazing rookie. He has tried to step back from some of that noise since then, and he started maybe a little reluctantly, showing some respect to the Indiana Fever guard. So here's what Pierce had to say after Clark got left off the US Olympic team.
You claim you want the women's game to grow, and then you keep the most popular girl in women's basketball off the team. How do you grow internationally and domestically if you don't put her on the US team? It just makes the most sense. Sometimes you have to say, hey guys, this is bigger than the game, which it is. I mean, women's basketball is at an all-time high because of Caitlin Clark.
On the surface, what he said sounds pretty respectable, right? But here's the thing, if you really dig into the logic behind it, you'll see Pierce isn't totally sold on Caitlin Clark's actual basketball ability yet. He believes Clark should have been on the US roster just to help grow the sport's popularity, which is fair. But he also sort of implies that Caitlin didn't actually earn an invitation purely on merit. The thing is, Paul Pierce is one of those NBA players who turned into a sports commentator, and he's always super provocative. So you gotta take all his opinions with a grain of salt, because he might just be trying to stay relevant in the media. And just when you thought all the drama around Caitlin couldn't get any bigger, Shaquille O'Neal dropped a huge bombshell. On Angel Reese's podcast, Shaq held absolutely nothing back as he just heaped praise on Caitlin Clark. And get this, he did it right in front of her most vocal critic. It was truly a jaw-dropping moment. An NBA legend defending Caitlin in literally the last place you'd expect. His words made one thing crystal clear: Caitlin is extraordinary. And honestly, even her harshest critics couldn't deny it after that. So, get ready to hear it straight from the Big Diesel himself.
And I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot. And bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot. Man, like, if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. So I'm telling you now, if you just
So, that absence from the biggest sports event of the year, yeah, it probably stunned Caitlin on a personal level, but honestly, it might have been a blessing in disguise. At least, that's what legendary NBA center and three-time Defensive Player of the Year, Dwight Howard, believed. He actually said back then that Caitlin could really use that time off to just focus on her skills. His idea was that she'd come back and completely dominate in the second half of the season. And what's crazy is, that's exactly what ended up happening. Looking back now, Howard's quote sounds almost like he could see the future.
A great player, but it's a lot of players that, no lie, who, as far as basketball-wise, they have the edge over her of why they should be playing in the Olympics right now. Mind you, this should motivate her. This should make her go harder in the gym. The 3 weeks that they off,
Yeah, CC's definitely getting better, and Caitlin Clark has looked completely different since that Olympic break, right? We don't know for sure if getting left off the team lit a fire under her, but she has absolutely found her groove. I mean, think about it. Going to Paris and maybe just sitting on the bench for a super stacked team, that could have totally messed with Clark's rhythm. Not to mention the chance of getting a random injury that could linger when she got back. Dwight, he saw a real opportunity for Caitlin, where everyone else was just seeing failure and disrespect, and he was smart enough to realize that a player with Clark's talent is perfectly set up to cash in on that opportunity. She could totally prove she's better than most of the players who got picked ahead of her. But here's the thing, with Caitlin Clark, you always have to consider the big picture. Hall of Fame point guard Isaiah Thomas. He was always amazing at seeing all the angles both on and off the court. After his incredible playing career, which ended with back-to-back NBA championships for the Detroit Pistons, Thomas actually went on to work as a head coach and executive in the NBA for years. So when he was asked about Clark, Thomas had a mostly positive take, but there was one little twist at the very end.
I think it's great what she's done, and I think it's great what the media and the WNBA and marketing and the players are doing, because, you know, controversy is not good, but, you know,
Man, that was a super smooth job from Thomas, honestly. He managed to compliment everybody and still point out the kind of dirty business behind all that Caitlin hate, all in just one sentence. It's really no secret, right? People tune in because they love drama, and by basically attacking Caitlin Clark from every direction when she first came into the league, the media had a lot to gain. Let's just say Isaiah is definitely onto something there, but he's smart enough not to feed into the very controversy he's describing. Now, Caitlin Clark has quickly built up a ton of grassroots support from Indianapolis fans, but she still can't quite compare with some of the basketball heroes from the past when it comes to that local hometown love. Right at the very top of that list of most beloved Indiana ballers of all time is the elite three-point marksman and cutthroat competitor, Reggie Miller. He spent all 18 of his seasons rocking that Maine 31 Pacers jersey, and while you might expect Miller to show some respect to Clark as the new savior of his town, he actually went the complete opposite way. He basically said that every single rookie has to learn how to deal with adversity and fierce competition.
What did you expect was going to happen to her? Number one, I don't think it's jealousy. Oh my God, she's getting all the endorsements. We're going to go after her. You're playing at the highest level. You're playing in the WNBA. You're coming from college and you're going to the pro ranks, right? What did she expect was going to happen? Why are people so shocked? Right? You're playing against grown women. The same thing happened to
So yeah, to us. Reggie Miller, he played in a totally old school NBA where physicality was just the norm, so his perspective on hard fouls, it might not completely apply to today's game. But let's be real, Caitlin Clark is facing challenges way beyond just pure competitiveness. She's actually dealing with a lot of unnecessary hostility. Now, it was never realistic to expect WNBA players to just roll out the red carpet for Caitlin, right? There was always going to be a fight, but the level of resistance she's met, it goes way beyond just earning her place. It honestly feels like an attempt to push her down. So, Caitlin's journey is about more than just earning respect. It's about demanding fair treatment, even if that means standing tall against all the odds. On top of that, Magic Johnson is actually super involved in women's basketball. He's a part owner of the Los Angeles Sparks. Because of that, we know that this superstar point guard who drove 5 NBA championship teams is definitely paying attention to what's happening in the WNBA. Johnson offered a really insightful analysis of Caitlin's role in the league, and he even brought up some other high-profile rookies.
Now, Caitlin, her teammates got to come to her defense.
Sure.
You can't allow her to have to fight every battle, right? But we have to understand that both Caitlin, Angel, and Rink, who plays for my Sparks, they made the WNBA better. And they're going to be tested by these incredible women who've been in the league for a long time. Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league. We became the best.
What's interesting is Magic actually drew a parallel between the current group of young WNBA talent and his own rivalry with Larry Bird. Remember how that totally revitalized the NBA back in the late 70s and early 80s? He's really preaching patience, pointing out that these young stars are going to need a lot of support from their teammates to conquer all the challenges and earn those top spots in the sport. In his typical style, Magic managed to praise everyone without really getting caught up in the ugly parts of the debate. Still, his assessment of Clark is really high, and that can be taken as a sign that even old NBA players, guys who actually have a vested interest in a competing team, they still have to respect her greatness. Anyone who remembers Magic from his playing days knows he was always super classy and elegant in his public statements. But honestly, you can't say that for one of his contemporaries. Charles Barkley was a really physical player, and his interactions with the media often sounded a lot like his battles for position down deep in the paint. Now he's working in the media, and he's even more popular than when he was a player. This 11-time All-Star and 2-time Olympic gold medalist has commented on Caitlin Clark and her WNBA experience several times. He's actually been mostly supportive, like in this clip here, where he talks about how her form changed during the season.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, 2 things I like. She's playing much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
From the college
they
season.
didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been ready for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the no stress. She came straight out of college.
You know, fatigue might have played just as big a role in slowing Caitlin Clark down early on as anything the defenses did. And Chuck is totally right. He's noticing that she's had a lot more pep in her step lately. That's led to more opportunities in transition and a much higher scoring output for both Clark and her teammates. But Barkley also really went after how fellow WNBA players treat Clark, and he absolutely did not hold back, giving his targets some very pointed and biting criticism.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls.
He compared her to some of the heroes he'd known, Caitlin Clark.
Y'all petty girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes.
That was kind of a humorous, almost sarcastic tone there, but Barkley has really nailed the central issue in this whole Caitlin Clark saga. Look, competition is one thing, right? But petty maliciousness? That's something completely different, and there have definitely been times where opponents just sent Clark to the floor with absolutely no legitimate basketball reason. The argument that other players should be appreciative of Clark instead of being so combative, it totally makes sense. But Barkley actually has another group in mind as culprits for this whole situation. He's talking about the opinion makers in the media.
They cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried. People believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you or your personality, they can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit. This girl is incredible. The number of attention, eyeballs she's brought to college and the pros, and for these women to have this petty jealousness, you say to yourself, damn.
I mean, what is even going on here? You really can't blame Barkley for being so irritated by what he sees as an injustice. The WNBA's Caitlin Clark is a total cash cow, but the league just isn't doing enough to protect her on the floor or promote her as the future flag bearer of the league. Part of that comes from corporate caution, right? The decision makers probably prefer to just let the season play out before they really formalize a strategy around Caitlin Clark's super fast rise to superstardom. But the other part, that might genuinely be related to a personal dislike of Clark among some key media members. And honestly, that's just not acceptable in any professional environment. Then Michael Jordan finally broke his silence on Caitlin Clark, and he did not mince words at all. The WNBA owes Caitlin a lot for what she's done for the game, MJ said. Jordan also called for big changes in officiating, emphasizing that the refs have been unfair to Caitlin, and it's time for the league to make things right. His words send such a powerful message. The WNBA absolutely must appreciate Caitlin's impact and make sure she gets the respect she deserves, both from the players and from the officials on the court. And get this, Steph Curry himself actually had to chime in on Caitlin Clark. After all, Luka isn't the only one who's been comparing Caitlin to Curry. She's been wearing that female Steph Curry label since college, and it's really not hard to see why. Her long-range three-point shooting? That's a dead giveaway already. People have even compared Steph Curry's shooting form with Caitlin Clark's similar form. They both have that blindingly quick release time that just stuns defenders, but their games have so much more to them than just that one weapon. Steph himself has actually observed that special aspect about Caitlin Clark. To be like Steph, you don't just have to have the skill to shoot like Steph. You need to perform, you need to turn the game into a show for the crowd, and you also have to have more to your game than just that. You need to find ways to make your team better and affect the game, even when the ball isn't in your hands. That's what truly separates Steph's greatness from all the other guards who have just been practicing their three-point shot. So it's no wonder why people have asked Steph a lot about Caitlin Clark, and it's really cool that Steph has been so outspoken with his praise.
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. Can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. It's crazy though, just because her shot is like that. It's at that level. If you really watch, like, her floor game is as impressive. So it's kind of the total package. And her being the French breaking that record, and the amount of attention that she has gained over the course of these last couple of years. Every building she goes into, there's a different energy. Like, it's great for her, great for women's basketball.
And get this, Steph actually represented the NBA during a huge landmark three-point shootout with the WNBA. It was such a thrilling matchup, super close right until the very end, with Steph just barely edging out the win. So maybe now that these NBA versus WNBA three-point shootouts are established, Caitlin Clark could actually have a shot at going toe-to-toe with her idol too. She has declined to join the three-point contest so far, but she says she's open to it in the future. I know all of our fingers are definitely crossed that she does. Now, if Caitlin Clark wants to find some comfort in the words of NBA legends, it's probably best to only listen to those who really have the resumes to back their opinions. Former MVP and NBA champion Kevin Garnett, he has a reputation as one of the hardest workers in his sport, and his famous toughness and bravado really helped him overcome countless challenges during his 21-year NBA career. Nicknamed the Big Ticket, Garnett joined the NBA straight out of high school and was quickly feared on both ends of the court, so he definitely has a unique perspective on how basketball stars are really made.
Caitlin Clark go through shit. I'm watching all, man, rookies, you're gonna go through some shit. And guess what? When you're it, when you got the bullseye on your back, when you it, it's gonna come with some shit. And nobody's hitting y'all with the step back in the high. Yeah, it's a compliment.
yeah, you fit. So not only does Garnett think it's totally normal for a rookie to deal with rough play and taunting, but he actually believes it's a stepping stone toward true greatness. He says the best ones, they have to prove their worth, and through that whole process, those special players build their winning mentality. According to him, Caitlin should just take all that attention from defenses as a sign of respect and just go with the flow. It's definitely an interesting point of view, even if not all retired NBA players might share it. But listen, the legend of Caitlin Clark just keeps on growing, and that's especially clear in how the biggest names in the sport are talking about her. Ever since she really started playing well, and her team actually got into the playoff picture, she's increasingly recognized as the real deal, to borrow a phrase from Shaq. You know that old saying, game recognizes game? So the support of these certified masters of the craft means so much more than the opinions of journalists who've never even played basketball. All these famous NBA stars were rookies once themselves, so they totally understand how much Clark can still develop from this point, and how much it will mean for women's basketball for her to really reach her full potential. You can be sure that some of the very best players in NBA history are actively following Caitlin Clark's road to success. They're rooting for her to rewrite the record books and totally revolutionize the business side of the sport.